Welcome back everybody to Forza Motorsport, and today we're taking a look at the 1995 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra R. Now this was only sold in 1995, it's basically a more performance orientated version of the SVT Cobra, and only 250 of these were ever built, and even then you had to have a competition license or a race team or something or other linked to the track to actually be able to buy one of these. So yeah, in comparison to the standard SVT Cobra, this has an alternative 5-speed manual, a 22-gallon fuel cell or 83 litres, and yeah, it's got more ventilation at the front by removing the fog lights, so the ventilation improved there, or helps cool down the front disc brakes. We've also got a improved springs, thicker stabilizer bars, and a front strut tower brace. In terms of lightening the car, as this does way less than the standard SVT Cobra, well, we've got no rear back seat, as you can see. We've also got no radio, no aircon, and we've also had the electric windows and electric seats removed on top of all of that. So as you can see, a very barren dashboard. No radio there, no aircon, just a heater, and that's it. So yeah, very sparse, but that's a requirement for a car that is mostly focused on speed, acceleration and handling. So yeah, and in comparison to the SVT Cobra R from only 2 years prior, not only does the car look different, but it also has more power, more torque, but it does also weigh slightly more at 3,326 pounds, which is 201 pounds more than the car that precedes this. But like I said, it does have more power and more torque, and that's because it has a bigger engine. It's a 5.8 litre V8 engine producing 300 horsepower and 365 pounds-feet of torque, whereas the Cobra R from only 2 years ago had 65 horsepower less, 85 pounds-feet of torque less from a 4.9 litre V8. So yeah, massive improvement over the prior car. In terms of looks, I'm fine with the way that the Fox body looks, but I do think this looks ever so slightly bit better. I like the wheels, I like the raised hood to accommodate the engine. It's also got a really rather nice spoiler and a twin exhaust. So yeah, overall it does look the part, quite frankly. But let's nonetheless get out onto a track and see if it drives the part as well. Right, we're at Road Atlanta, so for about the first lap I'll not speak at all, just let the car do the talking, and then we'll chat about the car some more. So yeah, I'm not going to say that this is the easiest of cars to drive. It certainly is one that, has its issues. But the more you put into this car, the more you try and learn what the car can and can't do, the more rewarding it ultimately is. Much like with the prior SVT Cobra R in that regard. But yeah, this does handle and brake better than that previous car, and with the extra power, yeah, it's definitely a quicker car in a straight line as well. So 0 to 60 is dealt with in only 5.2 seconds, 0 to 100 is dealt with in 13.418 seconds, and it will go to a top speed of 164 miles an hour. So that's now half a second quicker to 60 than the older SVT Cobra are. It's more than 2 seconds quicker to 100, and that car could top out 145, which is not bad, especially for a car that only had 235 horsepower. But yeah, this is definitely a much quicker car and a much more, stable car through the corners, and definitely does have the better brakes as well. But that said, yeah, like I said, it's not 100% foolproof. It's very easy to get things wrong, and yeah, that's why you've really got to be on your toes with this car. Kind of makes me realise why Ford were insistent that you had some track experience at the very least to purchase one of these. Now, yeah, 300 horsepower doesn't sound like the most amount of horsepower, but you have to remember that a lot of muscle cars through the late 70s into the 80s didn't really have much power at all. They were strangleholded by emissions controls that the car companies didn't go about the most intelligent way of meeting. They just basically just choked the cars, and yeah, basically said that's it and that's done. But yeah, 300 horsepower back in 1995 for a Mustang was pretty impressive, and certainly the most that one of them had had since the early 70s. So yeah, pretty impressive car overall, to be honest. It's been added to the game by this Mustang month that's been going on lately. I think this was added to the game on the 31st of October. So yeah, it's not a car that we've never had before in a Forza game. I think we did have this on the previous Forza Motorsport game, but we don't have it on the current Forza Horizon game, so it is nice to have this car finally back. And yeah, it is well worth buying and well worth racing around in, because yeah, it's got plenty of power, plenty of torque, but there is room for some improvement in terms of the handling and the braking, but that's what upgrades are for when it comes to this game. But still, C-Class car, not even halfway through C-Class, and yet you've got 300 horsepower, is not a bad shout to use as a basis for a racing car. So yeah, get out there and try it if you haven't already, in stock or otherwise. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.